Salutations friends, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a discussion video and I'm going to be talking to you guys about YouTuber fragrances. So if you'd like to be part of this discussion and know my opinions on this topic, then keep watching. Things first, you might see me drink from my giant coffee cup. It is quite literally the size of my head. So if you do, I'm sorry. It's just, I need my caffeine so bad right now. It's been a day and it's barely even started. So that is my life force right now. So if I sip from it, I'm sorry. But sometimes conversations are gonna go on long tangents and I might take a sip from it. So if you see this weird giant like mug, it's coffee. It's filled with coffee. I wanted to talk about this in a discussion, opinion piece kind of like thing, kind of like forum-esque, even though it's not really forum-esque, because a lot of people are not questioning YouTuber fragrances because they've been around for a while. I mean, Kristin, and then now with Jeremy and Steven and Peter and Dan, and then I've been a part of a few projects. I know a lot of other people have been a part of projects. I'm not naming everybody, I'm just kind of naming what I know just off the top of my head. It's fairly common, but not common. What's uncommon is people that are starting direct houses, like actually founding direct houses. So think like Kristin and Peter's line, Steven's line, and even Jeremy at this point. There's a lot of people that are actually branching out and starting their own houses. And some people really are excited for this, and some people are like, ugh, not another YouTuber starting a fragrance house. I can't. I can't. And I have real feelings about this. So first things first, everyone, and I mean everyone, is entitled to their opinion on anything. I'm not going to take away anyone's right to think on their own and come to their own conclusion based on the information in front of them. That's unfair. But I did want to give you my perspective. Now, I have worked on fragrances myself, and I do have some plans in the future that I'm not ready to mention to you guys, so we're going to leave that there. But I can tell you that, with all honesty, I believe in the integrity behind everybody, even Jeremy, to create their own fragrance line. Now, you might think to yourself, well, YouTubers, they're just trying to get money. And well, yeah, obviously, if you're investing time and money into a business, part of a business is to make a profit, is to make money. That's a no-brainer. Obviously, money is part of it. You have to think about, a lot of different accounting things, and we'll get into the boring side of business. There's a lot of different things, investments that come into creating not just a fragrance, but any business. If you're opening a restaurant, if you're creating retail products. I mean, I've owned my own business since 2011. I make my own products, I do my own fulfillment, I'm customer service, I'm art director, I'm accountant. I mean, I have my hands in all the honeypots, and it's stinks. Now I love, and I haven't done it in a while, I kind of put it on hold for the past year and a half because of everything that's been going on. I loved what I did. I was very proud of the products that I made and the quality and my customer service and my experience with everyone that purchased my stuff. But at the end of the day, I still needed to make money. I think most people, for a hobby, if they could make a living on their passions, that's living the dream. Being able to make a paycheck, a real living wage, maybe even having more of a disposable income while still creating something that you love, that's amazing. And to be perfectly honest, I think a lot of people, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I think a lot of people that love scent, in their mind, they kind of have this idea of a fragrance or several fragrances that is just their perfect scent. And if you had the opportunity to create that, you would jump on the chance. And for a lot of YouTubers or a lot of bloggers or influencers, they're given that opportunity. And I think that they jump on it. Now, Peter on his channel for the longest time has been sharing his passion for perfumery. And so it was obvious at some point that he was going to come out with his own line. And I think when it comes down to the concept of his fragrances, the execution of his presentation and everything, I think he hit it out of the ballpark. Steven as well, I think he definitely knew what he wanted, and he's moved forward in creating a very solid line. These are sustainable brands. I mean, these are brands that could absolutely grow and become a sustainable, like, real living wage that maybe they even quit the job that they have now and focus purely on this. Now, that's not something that could be done right now, but it's something that could definitely be cultivated into that. And I think that being able to do that is commendable. I think these people are taking their creativity and their passion for fragrance and turning it into a business, into a career, and an extension of their YouTube channel, an extension of their passions, an extension of their hobbies, an extension of something that they love. And if they can turn that into a sustainable income, I think that's commendable. Now, let me just kind of throw it out there. Jeremy Fragrance. I have no issue with Jeremy. I think he should be commended on the hard work that he's done, whether or not you agree with his prices or his marketing or anything to do with his scent. I mean, I see it everywhere. I'm on Words with Friends, I'm on Instagram, I'm on random websites trying to find things like Wish and things like that. Like, I see like Fragrance One ads everywhere. His marketing department is killing it. And killing it, and his hustle is real. But there's nothing wrong with that. He's invested a lot of money, granted either money he invested through, you know, people giving it to him, or his own personal money. He's invested a lot of time and money into his fragrance brand. And so I think even Jeremy's way of marketing and representing his fragrance brand is very true to who he is. And again, that should be commended. A lot of people might like or dislike that, but he's never once, in my mind, stepped out of who he is as Jeremy Fragrance. And the same thing can be said with Peter's line, and the same thing can be said with Steven's line and other people's lines. It's their brand, their reach, their engagement, their audience. And I think that they know exactly the type of fragrance that they would want to create, and it reaches out to their audience because that's who they put themselves out there on their channels. Peter's always been himself on his channel. Steven's always been himself on his channel. Jeremy's always been himself on his channel. And so the people that flock to buy these fragrances and the people that like respect the artistry and the hard work and the hustle in these lines, well, obviously it works out for each different individual. And I could, with all due respect, say that Jeremy's, Peter's, and Steven's lines are vastly different from each other in regards to marketing, conception, and execution. And that doesn't mean that one fragrance from that line is better than the other. They're just different. They're marketing to their audience, and that makes sense. If you're starting a business and you're investing real-world money and real-world time, you want to make sure that you get a proper return on your investment. And the greatest way to do that is to look at your target audience. And when you have a YouTube platform, your target audience is probably your subscribers. So it makes sense that Jeremy markets the way that he does. It makes sense that Peter does what he does, and it makes sense that Steven does what he does. And that's why I also think that they're vastly successful. But does that make their brands, does that make their fragrances disingenuous? Are they money grabbing? Are they gimmicky? I don't think so. I think that if you had the opportunity to create something that you are proud of and you could stand behind and you can make a living from in an area that you are passionate and knowledgeable about, I think go for it. And so, YouTuber fragrances. Is every YouTuber gonna create a fragrance? No. Not everyone will have the desire to do that. Not everyone will have the opportunity. And not everyone will have the investment capital. It's expensive. I'm speaking from experience here. It's very expensive. And it's not just expensive with money, it's expensive with time and resources. Some of the resources to create specific fragrances, specifically with the way that the world is now and the economy is now, is vastly almost like impossible to get your hands on. Some of these resources, if you want to create something like really quality, are getting depleted. And it's just something that's the world we live in. The state of perfumery is changing, obviously. We've known that for several years now with like new regulations and things like that, and especially with the current situation, who knows how business is going to be and how the market's going to be like in the next like 5 to 10 years. It's changing. But not from a business standpoint, from a more philosophical standpoint, YouTuber fragrances make sense. These are people, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about, you know, everyone else. And I've been using Jeremy, Peter, Steven because they're the most recent ones that people can recognize. Jeremy, Peter, Steven, and every other YouTuber out there who's created a one-off fragrance or have worked on their entire brands, it makes sense. It does. It makes sense that one of the evolutions of a YouTube channel would be owning your own brand. There's a variety of different evolutions of your own YouTube channel if you wanted to do perfumery or be in the perfume industry as a career. And one of the ways is a brand. And with so many amazing channels out there, there are going to be some people that do start that. And part of that is marketing, and part of that is bringing their creativity, their passion, and their dreams to you guys. So of course they're gonna be like, buy my brand, buy my brand. Sorry, that's a critic reference, even though it's not brand. Anyway, this thing literally hides my head. I have a potato-shaped head. My head is not small. This is a huge cup. Anyway, for me, as a YouTuber, it makes sense. I understand the drive to want to create. I am a creative individual. I'm constantly, and I mean constantly, creating things. I'm a painter, I do jewelry, I do graphic design, I'm learning programming-esque kind of things in the background. I'm also an individual who likes to be creative in how I smell. Expressing myself through scent and olfactive art has been something I've always been very passionate about. And so for me, personally, it would make sense in the future if I started my own fragrance line. And I talked to you guys about that in the past. For someone like Steven, who's been doing this for like forever, who has the opportunity and the clout and the passion and the knowledge to create his own line, I think that his ability to actually do that and do it successfully has been commendable. And I also think someone like Peter, who the first video I ever watched on Peter's channel was making fragrance and talking about perfumery. It makes sense. And Jeremy, obviously Jeremy has very specific points of view on scent, and that's why so many people love his channel and respect his authority as one of the most top fragrance reviewers in the industry. A lot of it has to do with his charisma and his drive and his ambition. And it would make sense that he would want to bring his vision of how he thinks people should smell to the world. His authority, whether or not you agree with it, his authority on the matter is very much respected by hundreds of thousands, if not million, at least a million people at this point. So, you know, it would make sense for him to want to kind of create his vision of how he thinks women should smell, men should smell. This is what you need for this occasion. This is what you need for that occasion. That's been his brand from the beginning, and have the ability and the opportunity to create that and also make money doing it, I mean, it makes sense. Now, whether or not you agree with the integrity and the honesty and just the general idea of YouTubers creating sense, that's okay. The beauty market on YouTube has been saturated for a very long time on collaborations. Beauty influencers feel like there's a new eyeshadow palette or a highlighter palette every other day. I work in the beauty industry currently. I sell these things in my store. I can tell you every other week we have some new collaboration from some top influencer, and this is the must-have product of the year. It's an overtly saturated market in the beauty industry. It is so ridiculous. New palette from this person, new palette from this person, new formulation here. It gets overwhelming and quite annoying at times, especially when I have to do those dang planograms. Oof. No. So it's understandable when that kind of part of the YouTube influencer lifestyle brand environment moves into the fragrance influencer environment. People are already bored and tired of it. But for YouTubers, this is a new thing. There have been, again, brands out there, very successful, very respected brands out there started by YouTubers. Some people have given up their channel, some people are still reviewing, and that's completely up to the person. There's nothing wrong either way. But there's so many people who have this vision and are working towards it that it's something that's not going away, and it's one of the natural evolutions of a YouTube fragrance channel, at least in my personal opinion. My thought is always that as long as people are being honest and upfront with the process, as long as people are being fair when it comes down to marketing and representing themselves and their brands, and as long as people are not losing the integrity of why they're creating that scent. And there could be any reason. There can be ambition, creativity, ultimate vision. It doesn't matter. And I know those words didn't really make sense, so I'm sorry. As long as somebody's being honest up front with why they're creating their brand and maybe even how they're creating their brand, within certain respect. I'm not expecting people to release, you know, formulas or contacts or connections or anything like that. That makes sense. But being honest and upfront with the process I think is awesome. And I think that it can be a learning experience for some people, and I think it can be an inspiration for other people. And I think if you can create a business where you can actually make money with your passions and loves, I think that if you can do that, then that should be celebrated. I think anybody should be given that opportunity. So that is my thoughts on YouTuber fragrance videos. I don't know if I made too much sense with this. I did want to film this video before I do an overview of Steven's collection. He did send it to me, and you guys did actually really want me to go over it, so I'm going to do that tomorrow or in the next few days. But I kind of wanted to put this video out first. Now I'm also planning on purchasing one, if not the entire collection from Peter, but because of the current state of the world, I have been trying to limit my fragrance purchases, and so the last month when I had those fragrances that I purchased, that was the little tiny bit of money I had set aside for like Mother's Day sale. I don't have much of anything set aside for fragrances, so I don't know if I'm gonna have any haul this month or it's gonna be really small. But once I kind of get back into the swing of making money and kind of like figuring out what's happening in the world and everything's more stabilized, as stabilized as it possibly can be, I am planning on investing in Steven's brand and reviewing it for you guys. But in any case, guys, I just wanted to let you guys know my thoughts on YouTube fragrance reviewers. If you guys have any questions or thoughts on your own, let me know in the comment section below. This video is a discussion. These are my opinions. Just because I think this way does not mean that I am correct. And I always love to hear what you guys think on the matter. So in any case, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm gonna go finish this giant cup of coffee and play some Animal Crossing. So I will see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love seeing this channel grow. And again, I hope you guys are all happy and healthy and have a great day, month, year, whatever. And I'll see you next time. Bye.